podcast.
Let's talk about it on here.
You want to talk about it on here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Counterculture Podcast. I'm here with my friend
Jeremy
from
Tupood.
What's cracking, dude?
Just out here sweating in Miami.
Dude, it's no joke. I don't do good with the heat at all, but I think I'll take this at least for a day coming from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We got 16 inches today. My son has been to school twice this past week.
That's amazing.
I know, dude. It's wild.
I'm from Austin, and it's like 28 degrees right now. We had to drip all our faucets. We had to do all the stuff that y'all probably have to do. So,
really?
Yeah. It's not supposed to happen in Austin, but that's what's happening there. So I guess I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome, dude. That's so funny, though, because I remember, was it 2 years ago when you guys had a little bit of ice on the road and you guys shut the entire state down?
4 days. We couldn't leave our house.
I
have a driveway that's slanted like this.
Okay.
I just like fell straight down the driveway. Like there's nothing. Could do nothing. So yeah, any bit of ice shuts us down.
There's like no infrastructure for winter weather at all? Like no salt plows or any of that?
No, I mean, I was born in Ohio, right? And you have the trucks that come out and they drop the salt and they do all the things. We got none of that. So it's like ice just gets this thick and it's like you can't drive, can't go anywhere. You just gotta wait for it to melt.
Dang, dude. What took you to Texas?
I moved to Texas. I was pretty young. I was 9 or 10. My parents were tired. They grew up in Chicago and Cleveland. They were tired of living in that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to get down south. So that was pretty much it. I think a job at the time maybe, but I mean, I'm Austin through and through now. Been there
heck yeah.
18 years.
What? Oh, 18 years?
Yeah.
Dang, dude. Nice. Okay. So you asked me a question before we got on. We'll just talk about it right away. What was your question? Sorry.
I said, what are you up to? I mean, last time we had lunch, you were hustling media and podcasts and gym and all the things. I just want to know what you got going on in your world.
Yeah. So Jeremy and I met 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was doing some ambassador work with FitAid.
Yeah.
So since then, I opened a gym. Did you know that?
I knew that. I knew you opened it. You had just started that.
Yeah. So I opened a gym. I lost 2 business partners in that process. And so I'm shutting it down to go all in on the pod.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're just sending it, dude. That's it.
That's amazing.
But I'll do like media stuff like on the side or whatever, time to time, just for anybody. Thank you. Just for anybody that like wants it. You know what I mean? But like it's not like pursuing it super heavy or any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy owns Tupood, the belt company.
Yeah.
What'd you do before Tupood though? Because when we went to get lunch, you told me that you did media stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I in college had started a media company, and a couple buddies of mine were great videographers, photographers, and they didn't get paid anything. And I was opportunistic. I was like, guys, y'all got to get paid more than you do. I was like, let me get in on this. I'll be the business guy. I'll sell the projects. I'll project manage whatever. Y'all just do the creative stuff. And so we started, it was called Capture Media, my freshman year of college. And so we did that for about 3 years. We mainly did like corporate video things. So we were doing longer form customer testimonials, like that kind of stuff. And it went really well. And that's ultimately I'm a partner in Tupood. The majority owner is Barry Cox, and we were working with him. He was kind of a mentor of mine at the time, and we did some media for Tupood because he had just gotten involved with Tupood then, and we needed that. And then, when I went to graduate, I was kind of like, do I go all in on the media? Like, do I go try to run my own business? Or Barry was 20 years ahead of me, a couple of successful exits, and he was like, you want to come do this with me? And I was like, I should probably go learn from someone first who wants to do this together. And so jumped on with him. We were just talking about 5 years ago, I think is what it's been now.
Dang, dude, that's crazy. Were you always like, so you went to college out of high school right away?
Yeah.
Was your intention always to do the entrepreneurial route, or what were you like planning to do?
Yeah, it didn't take me long to realize I wasn't cut out for like the big business school thing. So I went to the University of Texas, Macomb's great business school, but it's geared towards like Big Four, accounting, consulting, finance, like that's what it's known for. And I was like, I went to one career fair for like 5 minutes, walked in, student, all that, and I was like, this is not me.
This is not
I
it.
left, and I never went back. And I just knew that like I wanted to build my own thing. I wanted to learn small, even if that meant early on not getting paid what you could have gotten paid out of business school. I was like, that's what I want to do. And so, I just realized that I wanted to build, I wanted to create, I wanted to do those things. And so I think I figured that I probably knew that young, and then I told myself going into college I should probably get a job that takes care of me. And then it took me 6 months, and I was like, no, I need to go out on my own. And
what was it about like the corporate world that you were like, because for me, right, it seems like a nightmare to sit in a box for hours, no windows, and even like to get dressed nice to go to work. I don't like to dress nice. I like to just like dress like this, right? So like anytime that I have to put a suit on or a tie or even like a button-up shirt, I'm like, fuck this shit, dude. I don't like this at all. What was it for you?
Yeah, I think I realized I like to do a lot of things. I feel like I can be 80% good at a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to be the master of any of those things, but that makes me good at a whole, at a lot of things. And I realized that corporate world, I was going to have a pretty specific set of like tasks or responsibilities, or it was going to be a long trajectory of like, I've got to go take, 17 steps to get to where I think I want to be. Versus I could just jump in and do the work today. And that's what I like to do, is go figure it out. And I'm wired that way. So I think it was corporate. I just didn't want to follow the path. Like I didn't want to take just whatever the next steps were. And that kind of scared me. That was what kept me away from it. The bureaucracy, I'm not formal. I don't get dressed up. I don't want any of that part either. But I think the bigger picture was I just like to build and create. And I feel like I was going to be doing someone else's work versus what I wanted to do at the end of the day.
Have you been like a creative? Like you said that you did like the project management side of like that creative company, but are you involved with that type of stuff?
Yeah, I kind of have a mix of the like analytics, data strategy side of operating a business, and then I really enjoy the creative side. So I'm not going to get behind the camera. I'm really not going to edit much. I'll do a little bit here or there if I need to get the right ad in, but I can picture what it should become and say hey, take this idea to here. Now y'all go figure out the AVL and the lighting and all this stuff and the props. It's like
you're the visionary.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I can say here's what the video should look like, and I think where it should go, how it's going to be used to go, grow our business or whatever it is. So it's kind of that sweet spot of like, I'm not, we have an agency side of the business too, and we did some creative work for like a candle company. I was like, I can't picture the set for that candle. Like that's not me, but I can, at the end of the day, take it and know where it needs to go to. So some kind of middle ground in there is my like sweet spot.
Did you always have that like when you were a kid too? Like the visionary type of deal?
I don't think so. I think it develops.
It's a skill.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. I think like early on, in like high school, I started to come into that more. I don't know when it was. I was real active in our church at the time. I was running some events pretty young, and so I learned a lot of just like you kind of got to do whatever you got to do. But honestly, early on, I was pretty lazy in school. Like getting up until like middle school, and I was not super driven. Something flipped around middle school time, and I was like I'm gonna go figure this out. And I started to get those skills probably around then. But I wasn't born that way, but I feel like I became that way kind of headed into college, and that's when the media company, all those things started coming together.
What was it like balancing a media company and going to school? Because I'm assuming that you did it pretty full time, both of them, right?
Yeah, the school was more full time than the media. The nice thing about the media projects, we weren't retainer, we were project based. We could say yes or no as we needed to. It was busy. I wasn't super like social in college. I went to UT. My wife went to Texas A&M. She had all these friends, so I'd go there, hang out with their people. Back at school, I had friends in college, but I worked a lot, and so that's. I realized early I enjoyed that. Like I was building something I was proud of, and so it was a lot. I feel like a lot of weekends I was out shooting. I managed my schedule aggressively. I never had a class on Friday in college. I just jammed them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, basically.
That's the way to do it, dude.
Yeah, I needed to have a free time to work, free time to get stuff done. So, I looked back at the end. I was like, I could have worked a little bit less. Like I probably, overworked. I graduated early too, so I was just adding on those things and. But I don't regret any of it.
They put you in the position you're in now, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
My last year, I graduated in 3 years. My wife was still in college. We were just dating at the time, and I got to live downtown with a bunch of my friends, go to football games, but work and make money without spending another year on tuition. So it was a pretty good like trade-off. To get the experience of a fourth year without paying for it. So
and you're not like broke like all your friends.
I was like, I can go make some amount of money and like not like that's a big swing from like just spending more for another year. And
dude, you gotta have money in Austin, bro.
Yes,
that place is expensive, man. I remember we went to like a cold plunge place, and what's it called? The Ocean Lab. Have you heard of it?
You were telling me about it. I just haven't been down there, but you mentioned it last time. Yeah.
Dude, there's people that are paying $200 a week to be a member there. I'm like, where does all this money in Austin come from, bro? Yeah. But I guess there's
a plunge in a month or two at that rate, right?
Yeah, really. And the sauna and the infrared. It's crazy. But I don't know, people down by you like actually value their health. They're willing to like spend money on health and fitness, which I think is really cool, because by us, what people spend money on is cheese curds and beer. Yeah. That's about it. Yeah.
Well, that's what we go to Madison for the games. That's all we want is cheese curds and beer.
And now it's going to be back out by you.
No, I know. We're Madison was a great place to visit. We love the city, but we're really glad it's going to be in Dallas, 3 hours up the road from us.
Probably cheaper for you, too.
Way cheaper. I mean, freighting all the stuff we have to freight back and forth is super expensive, and getting team members there, and I think it's also good for the sport. Like I just think for Madison, you can fly into Milwaukee or Chicago, drive 2 hours. You got Dallas. You're going to pull from Austin, you're going to pull from Houston, you're going to pull from DFW, and you can get there from anywhere in the country. And so I just think in terms of people coming to the event, it'll be easier to get to.
Yeah, that's true. All right, dude. So I was gonna ask you a question about, what was it? So you did the media company. I think I remember you telling me something about drop shipping. Were you drop shipping or no?
Never did drop shipping.
That's not you?
No.
Did you have something else? Another project?
So we have an agency called Red 21 where we do marketing, e-commerce growth specifically for health and fitness brands.
So you're still involved with all these companies?
Yeah. So Two Food, half my life is being GM of Two Food and operations, ads, marketing, all the things that go into that. We have a lean team, but a great team. And so that's half. The other half is called Red 21. And what we do at Red 21 is we invest and partner with scaling e-commerce brands, and in the last year we've specifically said we want to be in the sports, health, and fitness space. So
sweet.
We've worked with other, like I was mentioning, we've worked with candle brands, we work with skincare brands, and that's just not us. Like that's not like who we are.
Yeah.
We like sports, we like fitness. So so like last year we made an investment in a softball brand. It was founded by a former Team USA pitcher. It's a cool like training tool for pitchers.
Dope.
They had a great product, great founder, didn't have the ops, the e-commerce, the marketing, all those things. So we partnered, invested in them, and had an incredible last year. So we try to make, investments in things that we are owners in, but we can provide, when it comes to e-commerce, there's a playbook of things that you've got to do when traffic, conversion rate, order value, inventory purchasing, like those things are similar across businesses no matter what you're selling. So we try to like bring that playbook to great product, great founder in the fitness and sports space.
How important is it for you to like align with the values?
It's huge, and specific in the personality of the founder. I have worked with people. I learned a ton in the last 18 months of like I just don't want to work with people that I don't want to work with. Right? Like if I can tell that, like I don't care how good the money is, how good the opportunity is. Like we're just not going to do that. And we've started saying no to something where it's like you might have a massive business, but like we don't think we want to do life with you. And so we don't say that directly to them, but that's like behind the scenes how we're feeling. And so it's really important that we believe the same things, but we can enjoy doing the journey together. If you're just like thinking about the outcome or the exit, but you hate the 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 years to get there, like why are you doing it?
Yeah, I actually just talked to Heather about that this morning, where there's a certain athlete at the gym, and then we were wondering about like maybe doing a podcast, and I'm like, I just don't think that our values align. And like although it might be a good look for us or a good thing for me to have this person on, I'm like, just long term, I'm probably not going to feel good about it, and people are going to question me because of it or whatever, so I definitely get that. In college, going back to college real quick, were you a partier? You said you weren't very like social.
No, I was not a partier in college. Most of my best experiences were probably going to Texas A&M. It's about a 2-hour drive to go see Kendall. So we started dating in high school, sophomore year.
Oh yeah, you guys have been together forever.
Yeah, so we're just came up on 3 years of marriage. We've been dating for more than 10. So
congrats, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, so went out there a lot, but I mean, I had a good time. It wasn't boring. But it was a lot of work, and that was like I would say that was work and school and family, and partying and having a good time was pretty far down the list for me at that point, which I was okay. I was clear about kind of what I wanted and what I was going after.
Were any of your like peers, your friends, or even your parents, were they like kind of, I don't know, were they supportive about your journey doing the entrepreneur thing, or were they kind of like, hey man, I wish you'd come out with us more, I wish you'd,
No, yeah, my wife was the one who was the most like, I want you to go out and do things, I want you to meet people, I want you to branch out, I want, extrovert, introvert. I prefer to be on my own or my small group of people. Like that's what rejuvenates me. Big crowds, big groups. That's not who I am. So, but being in Austin, growing up.
That's interesting because everything you do, like event-wise, is huge amounts of people.
I leave these events and I need like a week. Like I'm just like, I'm going to talk to you, but like I need to go be by myself or just me and Kendall or, my crew for a bit because it just drains me. And, I've just learned that's fine. That's how it is. And I like people, but I just know my energy is going to be down.
Yeah.
But, she wanted me to make sure I was getting out of my comfort zone because growing up in Austin, I had a good group of friends in high school, a good group around. And so I didn't quite like engage in the community. I had pledged or rushed a fraternity for like a month and a half in the spring. And then it just got to the point where there was one night I was like doing pledge stuff. It was, I was dealing poker for the older guys at like 4 a.m. I had to be back up in Cedar Park for something at like 6:30 in the morning the next day. Geez. And I was just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like I've got great people in my life. I've got friends. I've got things I can do. Like I don't need it. And the dues in a fraternity at UT is insane. Those houses are, insanely expensive. It was like $4,000 a semester or something to be a part of it. And I was like, I'm not gonna pay $10,000 a year for my like crew. Like I'm already friends with all these dudes, and one of them was in my wedding. Like. So I didn't, You
could just go visit, have the same experience without the cash.
Yeah, well, they were like $4,000 for your dues in the frat. I was like, that is nuts.
That's crazy. So, did you have financial help in college, like from your parents?
I did. Yeah, okay. That was the other thing. I was like,
but they were probably like, I don't want to pay $4,000.
Put this towards. They were pretty like. I was pretty independent. My parents divorced pretty young, and I feel like I grew up a lot fast, and so like they were kind of like, you can do what you want. Like they trusted me. But I was like, I don't know that I feel great putting what they've worked for and set aside for me to go, put it towards a fraternity. Like I need to go put this towards school or put this towards something that's gonna like, pay my dividends in the future. So, so I think, my wife wanted me to get out of my comfort zone, wanted me to go, meet people. So she was kind of the most like skeptical of like, hey, maybe you're working a little bit too much, too young.
Your wife was?
Yeah. Okay. She was at A&M and just like meeting a lot of people. She had gone away, had kind of gone through that. When you go away to college, when you go anyway, you move the first time, you just grow a lot, right? You lose that like safety net, you lose that community. And I didn't really do that. I kind of stayed in my community because I was still in Austin. And so she was kind of like, hey, maybe you should go out. I actually considered transferring at one point, just be like, do I need to get out of my comfort zone more?
Yeah.
But I also was like, a lot of things that I really like are lining up well. So it was kind of, I was balancing that.
Dude, and some people are bred for like just that small town feel, like to just to be that way. I don't buy it that everybody needs to leave their hometown.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's good. It is good to be out of your comfort zone. You grow a lot. Like, debating that, how you go about that. Like, you can challenge your comfort zone where you are today. I think like thinking you have to leave to do that is maybe a little bit of a fallacy because then you're always going to have to leave, at some point. It's like, if you leave, your goal is to create community, and then are you going to be like, well, I've got to leave again to get out of this? Like, hopefully you can challenge yourself where you are today, whether, wherever that physically is.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so then how do you get involved with Tupud after starting the marketing company? Is it because you did work for them? How did you link up with, what's his name again? Barry. How did you link up with him?
Yeah, so Barry, I had reached out to him. I knew him through that church I mentioned in high school. I had just seen him, and I knew he was good at business. That was like what I had heard as a 16-year-old. And I knew I wanted to be entrepreneurial.
So he's a local dude.
Yeah, so he grew up I didn't grow up, but he's lived in Austin. He lives 10 minutes down the road from me.
Cool, perfect.
And so, and he actually married me. So as
he
well.
did?
So he wears, business partner, officiant at my wedding, great friend. Like we have a really dynamic set of roles in our life. But so he's an amazing guy. He was a tech guy, so he had dropped out of college, tech guy. He had started and sold 4 or 5 tech companies along the way. And so he was like kind of retired at 37 or 38. Like he was like, I'm kind of done. Like I don't know what I want to be doing, but he had sold his last one, and he's like, I'm done with that grind of like start it, take it to 150 employees. Like I don't want that anymore.
He bought too many Ferraris already or something?
He does. You wouldn't see it if you looked at him. Like he's not that way, but he was good. Like he didn't have to keep.
That's always how the like most successful people are.
Yeah.
Like you just have no idea.
Yeah, and so he's was great on that, and he was like ready to retire. He wanted to take his kids across to Europe. He's like, let's go live there for 6 months, and they all had friends. They're like, no, we're staying. He's like, all right, well, I've got to go back to work then. If we're just gonna be here for 5 more years. He had kids in high school and middle school. so he was like, well, his last business was in e-commerce. It was a shipping solution, so
Cool.
called Shipping Easy. When you buy stuff, you got to buy the label and ship it out, and so that's what he had built. So he knew e-commerce, and he's been a CrossFitter, and so he when he saw Tupood was originally started by a lawyer out of Alabama back in 2009.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like a side hustle for basically 10 years. It was a short company. Belts were introduced like 5 years in, but it was ran like a side hustle, and Barry saw the opportunity. Okay, this thing could be something if we go treat it like a business, like it should be treated. And so he bought it in 2019 originally.
For pretty cheap?
Yeah, he got a great deal on for what it was. I mean, it was valued appropriately, I think, at the time, but it was just a small, almost a regional business. I mean, it kind of served the like southeastern, Alabama, Florida, like that type of customer. Like that's what it was. It wasn't a national brand. It wasn't, the official belt of CrossFit. Like it wasn't any of those things. And so
did he already have the what's it called? The locking mechanism on it?
It had the locking mechanism, and they had about, I would say, 15 belts. Today we carry 50 at a time. We'll release 50 throughout the year, so we're cycling through all the time.
That's wild.
Like 15 belts and a lot of shorts. Tupood was early to the short game. I feel like, there's a million apparel companies right now in the CrossFit space, but like Rich Froning wore Tupood shorts at the games.
Sweet.
13 years ago. It was like Tupood had these crazy designs, great shorts, but as all these other ones popped up, belts became what we're really known for and differentiated on.
I love my Tupood. Actually, my favorite product is the thumb tape.
Yeah.
I'm not even lying. I love the belt, but the thumb tape, I've never had thumb tape that sticks as well as that. So buy the thumb tape.
Yeah. Dude, we worked on that. We went to a medical supplier of like, we just need something that sticks, that's like no residue, and like it will be there at the end of the workout. Like tired of stuff that's like ripping off, and that's what we got. And we get that feedback all the time. So
dope. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No, you're good. So anyways, that's when Barry got involved, 2019. And that's when we started doing media pretty quickly once he came on. It needed a whole rebrand. It needed a whole bunch of stuff. And then he was like, hey, I need someone to like operate this. You can go do the media thing, or do you want to come on, as a partner with me and run this thing, and we'll do this together. And I was just like, when I put the two things, I was like, yeah, I could run something that I own completely on my own, or I can spend time with Barry, learning from him. And it was, I think the first year I was a sponge. I soaked up what he knew. And what's cool the last 5 years is we're partners, and we're partners in everything that we do. And he learns from me, I learn from him. And so I jumped in 2019 in the GM role, which GM of a small business is do whatever you got to do. It's all the
hustle.
things. Your operations, finance, marketing, everything. And so, and it's been a great ride since then. I mean, we're basically 5x the business in 5 years. So is where we're standing today.
Yeah, you guys are crushing it. You're everywhere. I get ads on I don't go on Facebook a lot, but the only ads that I see are like Tupood and then like cold exposure stuff. That's it.
That's good. I'm trying to follow you on the internet as best I can. So I'm glad you're getting those ads.
Yeah, man. So, okay, how important do you think, what was your major in school again?
It was information systems in the business school.
So how much more important do you think it was having like a good mentor like Barry as opposed to going to school? Do you think it was more insightful, more important?
Exponentially more important to have a mentor.
Did you feel like it expedited the process for you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, what I learned in business school was a lot of like, formulaic, here's how to approach a problem, here's how to approach a financial model, here's how to approach, accounting in general. Which are fine and good things to do, but like when you get down to like we have to make a bet on a strategic decision of is this going to work or not, like you don't come out of business school with that. You come out of 25 years of lived experience with those types of insights. Or we're going to look at the big picture and say like, is there a market here that is like meaningful to us if we do this right? That you don't learn that in business school. You learn that from me. And so I've had 3 or 4 mentors in my life, business or personal, that have made all the difference in, trajectory on life, faith, marriage, business. Like I was telling Kendall about this recently. I'm such an advocate for finding people that are, 1, 2, 3, 4 stages ahead of you, because like you learn so much soaking up from them that like I'm a reader. I read 50 books a year. I love to read, but like even what I listen to half those to qualify that. But I absorb a bunch, but none of it compares to the mentors, and having that in your life.
Yeah, I've got 2 really good mentors that I like go to for advice all the time, and I feel like I've missed so many mistakes just because I've been able to talk to successful businessmen that have not necessarily all the answers, but they can give you insight on like what they would do if they were in your position.
For sure.
And it's just like it saved me so much money. So like even dude, I'll be honest, like lawsuits, like it saved me lawsuits before where I'm just like I could have sued that person or I could have got sued, but because I had somebody to ask the question to, none of it needed to happen.
Yeah, and if you just feel like someone's in your corner, like entrepreneurship can be hard and lonely and you feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
When you feel like there's someone like, oh, okay, like I'm not the only person who's been like experiencing this, like, we're going to make payroll tomorrow. Let's felt this pain before. That just does something for you emotionally, psychologically. It's like, okay, we can go and do this.
Yeah.
Because you've got someone that's been there.
Yeah, hell yeah. What do you think is the most important part of like growing Two Poot as a brand? Is it like athlete involvement, social media?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think very like practically what changed for us was an investment in paid media, 4 or 5 years ago. So the brand had been completely organic, social, some smaller athletes that we had worked on, but had not invested in paid advertising, which, you get to choose who you get in front of, what message you're going to give them. And that really blew up the brand, in 5 years the most. But I would say, in the last year and a half, it's been the partnerships that we've had. So for the official belt, these sleeves tape at the CrossFit Games. So getting CrossFit's endorsement, USA Weightlifting's endorsement. We've got partnerships with big athletes, Danielle Brandon, Ricky Garrard. We've got
Colton Mertens.
Yeah, Colton Mertens.
Oh, 1 second. Maybe you can teach me something about DSLRs too.
Yeah.
This thing won't record past 30 minutes. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. Josh and Jeremey, I actually know, had that same issue. The guys that run the media, and they switched. I forget what they're running now. They're running like mainly Sony, like
A7Rs or something.
Yeah. And so I don't know why.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, you were talking about big athlete partnerships too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Cole Mertens. And the value we get out of that, it's the credibility of, the most elite athletes in the world, are endorsing this product. I think sometimes like influencer brands, apparel brands, like you need to see that, be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. Like we're more on the technical equipment side, right? Like you have a goal, you want to go hit a PR. We want to make sure you do that healthy. We're going to give you, you got a brace right to do that. And so, but the top athlete, Maddie Rogers, who's in the Olympics, or CJ Cummings, these athletes are wearing this belt too.
Yeah.
And so that's expanded a ton, specifically in the last 18 months. So I would say some combination of, paid media and the athlete endorsements, and then some of the official partnerships that we've been a part of have been huge, and just solidifying the brand of, you don't need a belt more than once a year. I want you to buy a belt, once every 3 months. You don't need one more than once a year, once every, really 3 or 4 years are what people are buying.
Yep.
But we just want to be around everywhere so that when you need a belt, oh yeah, I'm going to Two Poot, right? Like you might not be getting it today, you might not be getting it tomorrow, but 9 months from now, I'm going to go to Two Poot because they're the one I get my belts from.
Hell yeah, dude. So I have this theory that I guess you can tell me this because you have the numbers probably, but have you seen a difference in like the ability for an athlete or an influencer to convert to sales based on if they're like an actual personality or just an athlete? So like my thing is, I feel like a lot of athletes, they only do short form content and they're focused on just doing the athlete thing instead of being an actual influencer. Do you see anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the value in that is, the credibility in the content, and the athletes that are great at content, are just, they see so much better results with us because they're producing the content. It's not scalable for us to like go and, say for every athlete, here's exactly what you should be putting out. Here's, it's best when we can say, hey, here's an idea, here's, a direction, and this is going to do well. One of the advantages we have though with partnerships is we can do custom things where this is your belt, right? And those things, those partnerships, like if we just announce an athlete and they wear Two Poot to have a link, like there's very low ROI on that. And like,
really?
I mean, we want the top athlete to wear Two Poot on the stage and, on the podium. But there's just, we can't, at least a trackable ROI. Again, big picture, like there's some good investments there. But we can go, Danielle Brandon releases her Win Pigs Fly belt and it's, goes off shelves like crazy. That's like super cool. But that's like her product. It's aligned with her brand. It fits with her story, which is a really cool story about her mom getting clean. And so like those, being able to partner with athletes in that way is kind of unique to our product. Like it's harder as harder as an apparel brand to like do a t-shirt for every athlete. I think that's like,
Sure.
you know, a cool design that people want to wear, but
Yeah.
we can do that with our belts. And so those are the best partnerships for us. Are this belt represents you, but it's, you know, mass market enough that people are going to want it, your supporters are going to want it, and then, you know, we create content around that. But to your first point of like, yeah, the athletes they're athletes without usually it's a team behind them. Like they're training all day long, like all the time. And so like, and they've got, in CrossFit, you've got 4 to 10 brands sponsoring you, right? So it's like, to deliver on all the demands you've got, like you have to have someone in your gym, in your crew, that's like producing the content.
Yeah.
You're just not gonna get it done.
Yep.
And that's what we typically see.
Yeah, I've talked to some athletes that I'm friends with that are like trying to get into the elite like category. And I've tried to tell them like, hey, I think personally what it seems like, because I'm not like in the thick of it, but what it seems like is the athletes that are getting paid the most and are able to like focus on being an athlete are the ones who are also influencing. They're not just like posting pictures of them training. They're like on their story showing that they stepped in a puddle and like, you know, what they ate for breakfast or whatever. And like being genuine on their social media content. But so many of them, and I get it, especially when you're trying to go from like RX to elite, or you're just, you know, you're just about to hit semifinals or whatever, it's hard. You don't have time to think about producing content. And like, so I think that's where management should come in and all that. But I guess
a great example of that, we had dinner last night with Craig and Jazz, and
Craig Ritchie?
Yeah, Craig Ritchie, and we released the We Don't Quit belt with him, and he's a creator through and through, right? Like he's built his brand, and that belt is like absolutely crushed. But it's a great, you know, testament to what you're saying of like he gets content, he has a fan base, he has, you know, got subscribers that like love him and his beliefs and what they stand for, and so he creates product and it flies off the shelves, right? Versus being like, and he's vlogging every day of his life, you know, you feel like you know him, and then he puts out a product, he's like, you know, that's what I want, and so he's done it right of like building an audience, being the creator, and he's an amazing athlete too. But
strong as hell.
Moves, ridiculously strong. And so, when you have that type of approach to, you've got the creative and the content, it's way higher ROI for brands. And I think, this is my prediction, I think over the next like 5 years in this space, the athletes will actually do less contracts and have deeper relationships and bigger relationships with brands, because I think there's a little bit of like, you know, I'm pimping 8 different brands on my social media, or 10 different or 12 different brands, and it's like, here's all my links and all the things, and they can't deliver content. You're kind of getting like a 10% off discount code, and it's just like, it's not a super deep relationship versus saying, hey, these are my 4. Like, I'm going to give you an apparel, I'm going to give you, if you're the athlete, you're going to pick an apparel company, a belt company, and your supplement company or whatever. But you're going to, you know, all day, and you're going to get rewarded for that too, because the contracts will go up. I just think we've kind of like, there's so many brands giving money to athletes so that they can train. Like we as a brand want the athletes to be able to train full time. Like we want to support them. But I think it gets watered down a little bit, like the message and who you're standing with, when there's too many for an athlete.
I feel like it also comes off almost as spammy too, right? When somebody's like trying to pimp 10 companies and like, it's like, this is my code for this, this is my code for this. And I'm like, I can't even keep track. So I'm just going to go to the website and not use your code, like if I need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think, you know, it'd be good for CrossFit. I think there's probably too many of those. We need athletes to train full time. I think we need to pay our judges so that we can, you know, we get any other sport that's gone like mainstream has, paid judges. So that's a sidetrack. But
I think also
think about like how do we make this like more legit? It's like that feels important.
There needs to be more money too, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which as a brand, I don't want to have to fork out more. But if we had less partners that we went deeper with, like, okay, if that's like more supportive and everyone gets a better lift out of that, like that, that makes sense to me.
What's your ratio like influencer to athlete?
Yeah.
Do you have any like
I don't
strictly
have a good answer
influencers?
For that. We have about 15 athletes that we're working with right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. We've added a couple. We got a couple that we're going to be announcing soon that we're super excited about. But on the influencer side, we have an ambassador program. It's probably 50 influencers in some capacity, but it's not like a program where we're interacting with them on a daily basis, but they've got codes, they've got content, they're tagging us. We're one of our initiatives in 2024 is to consolidate that a little bit, like remove some of the ambassador program just to like get deeper relationships. Like we were just talking about this last week. with our influencers. I think we have that with our athletes. We have the belts. We have that down, but we really need to we also need to get outside of CrossFit. Like we're big in CrossFit, but there's belts in powerlifting. There's belts in every single sport gym in the world.
You guys gonna do a lever belt?
We might have that in the works right now. So
nice.
We've got those types of investments to move, outside of CrossFit.
Cool.
And I think influencers will be a part of that. But if I had to give you a number, I'd say it's 3 to 1 influencer to athlete, but the athletes are the ones that are deeper relationships right now.
That's cool, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and talk about Tupood and talk about your life, and it's been a pleasure catching up.
Yeah, man.
Say anything that you want people to know about Tupood.
Anything you want us to know.
Or yourself, man.
Yeah. I think if you're, 2024, you're setting goals, you're like, hey, I'm going to go hit my PRs, I'm going to do that. One of the number one things that will keep you from that is getting injured. And so get a belt on, do it the right way, learn your form and your core things first. We will tell people in our booth here in Miami, do not buy a belt until your form is good. Don't throw on a belt saying oh, I'm going to, PR because I've got this on if you have poor form and all that. So get that right first. And then you're going to go hit your goals. Put on a Tupood belt will be the ones that's going to get you there.
Heck yeah, dude. Awesome. Well, hey, guys. Subscribe, thank Jeremy, hit the comments, go buy anything from Tupood, preferably Colton Mertens belt. Is that out yet?
Yeah, it's not out yet. It's coming in February, second week of February.
All right, so this will come out in February. Buy Colton Mertens, and we'll talk to y'all in the next one.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, dude. That was